What's up, my people? What's up, y'all? What's going on, man? What is up, my people? How's everybody feeling today? Yes, sir. I ain't gotta tell you that y'all know that this episode is sponsored by Match Bout. Follow Match Bout Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Match Bout, the best sponsorship in the land. Yeah, you know. I ain't gotta tell y'all. You know what? I know some of y'all are probably wondering when the hell am I gonna get an intro? When the hell am I gonna get a soundboard? Well, when the time is right. In case just if anybody's curious to know when am I getting any of that, that'll be coming hopefully real soon. Yeah, sorry, y'all. That'll be coming real soon. Uh, I can't say how soon, but I'll know it'll be soon. One thing at a time. Soundboards, I would love that intro, love all that, right? And I thought I would have had it um when I needed it, but fortunately it doesn't work that way. But it's all good. Um, I'm pardon the delay. Of course, at 4:15 I was supposed to be up here. I started doing stuff late, and it got me here late. I had to cook the wife some dinner, and I didn't want to have to wait till after I did my show to cook her some dinner. So I said, no, let me get this out the way now. And here we are, right? Throwback Thursday. Of course, we're speaking about not just a legend, not just a Hall of Famer. We're speaking about a man right here that he was built different. He was set up different. Punches, tall for his weight class, a man that never backed down from a fight. He gave it his all, win or lose. Talking about no one, the one and only Thomas Hitman Hearns. I mean, who better to start with, right? Who better to start with? So let's get it going. So for my newcomers, my regulars, everybody, welcome to the No Duck Zone podcast. Let's go. I was just looking at yesterday for some reason, right? I think that's how I ended up talking about Tommy Hearns today. I was looking at like a little small little, I don't want to call it a documentary because I love these documentaries with these guys, man. And I was watching something about just how he started and how he ended up meeting Emmanuel Stewart, and he was a young kid when he met him. His looks never changed too, even as a kid, and just the whole thing about him being interested in boxing, and it's something that he wanted to do. And first of all, him being from Detroit was already a plus. And besides Joe Louis, I don't think any Detroit fighters or Michigan fighters were popular like that at that time. Quee, what's up? Wasn't too many popular at that time. E Joy, what up, baby? Yes, sir. Wasn't too many popular fighters coming out of Detroit, Michigan at the time. Joe Louis was the last that we can remember. So Tommy Hitman Hearns, first of all, the man Hitman right there should have let you know. That should have told you everything about him. Um, he was just Tommy was just something. He was something built different, And when you look at a lot of the guys, like you look at Roberto Duran, you look at Marvin Hagler, you look at Sugar Ray Leonard, um, you looked at a lot of them, and they all were unique and different in their own ways, right? Four kings, right? But when you looked at Tommy, Tommy was just a man. He was a, I don't want to call him a freak of nature. I don't know if I can call him that. But first of all, he had an intimidating look. Okay, if you looked into his eyes, you probably would know what death would look like. Because he had, I mean, people said Mike Tyson had a mean look. Man, Tommy had a mean ass look where you probably would have went to the bathroom on yourself. I mean, like I said, for a welterweight to be 6'1", like to see that now, people make a big deal out of it, and I'm like, well, it ain't no big deal now. It's not no big deal now. I mean, we got Sebastian Fedor that's 6'5", 6'6". You know what I mean? And he's a 154 pounder. That shit's crazy. But so he had that. You couldn't be fooled by his Jerry curls and all that. All that didn't mean a damn thing. He came to fight, and he didn't just come to fight. He came to win. And not only that, he could destroy you. Like physically, he can destroy you. I mean, there's times we seen he'll hit you with one shot, maybe two, rather if it was to the head or to the body. You were out of there, and you never recovered from it. Um, he was special, man. I mean, they all were special in their own ways. Tommy was Tommy was something that, like I said, you didn't want to be standing across from him. Tommy had fought this young, undefeated kid. Shit, I just watched it yesterday. The kid was 22-0, but that was right after he came back and he had his loss. But beat the kid, and the kid died the next week. But even in that fight with the kid 22-0, the kid wasn't 22-0 for nothing. So for Tommy to do that and the kid to be younger than Tommy, um, that was pretty damn impressive. And like I said, the kid wasn't 22-0 for nothing. Because a lot of y'all will probably say, well, who was he? He probably had been fighting bums. It didn't matter. Didn't matter. Um, that didn't mean that Tommy was going to beat him. It could have went either way. But when I look at all the fights with Tommy, especially the Sugar Ray, which that was they went at it. The second fight, I don't too much glance at it like that. I don't know. I don't want to say the second one wasn't as good, but a lot of my memories comes from watching them fight in that first fight. Because the first one was a banger. And I think there was times where Tommy was down in them fights and managed to try to come back. Then we seen what happened. A lot of those punches that Ray was putting on him took effect on him. And I didn't talk about Sugar Ray Leonard neither, but I'm gonna get to him at some point. I'm trying to give everybody a turn that I talk about. And please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. This is where it goes down at the No Duck Zone podcast. Tell anybody who's looking to find a channel they could come to when we're talking about throwback fights and they don't have to keep hearing about the same damn fighters from Monday to Friday. You make sure you send them over here. Send them over this way. This is what we do on Thursdays. All right, D Free. We here. The link is in there. Don't worry about it. So send them here. All right. We have fun over here. And whenever I always throw on what's that, the tale of Hearns and Hagler, whatever, I always put that on. I always put that on because it tells all the old fights. And that's one of those. I just like the story and how the story is being told because in that ring they tell a story. They tell a story in that ring from the time they walk out to the time they walk to the ring. It's a story that they're telling, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful story, and if you don't understand the story that they're telling, it's because you don't understand the sport, and that's okay. Because I think for anybody who needs to learn boxing or learn about it, before you try to figure out today's boxing, you need to go back into the past. And if we know that the past is the past, but to understand it, even though boxing back then, from 40 years ago or 35 years ago, is not like today, I think in order to understand boxing, period, you need to take it back. You need to take it back. Yes, he is. EJ he definitely is. You need to take it back. And like I said, all those guys were special in their own ways. But if Tommy was a heavyweight, Jesus Christ, Jesus. Well, you know what? Probably not a heavyweight. Well, he could have maybe. Nah, I'll say more of a light heavyweight or something. Yeah, he would have been. I mean, Jesus, he was already bad as a welterweight. Um, but like I said, I don't think there's one fight as far as him fighting that I saw where I was just like it wasn't entertaining. I mean, when he fought Roberto Duran, Jesus Christ. I mean, he hit Roberto, and Roberto Duran fell like a drunk man coming out the club that just went over his limit. You ever seen that guy that come out the club and he just had too much, too much? I mean, I know y'all have seen that. A guy come out the club, have too much, and he just falls straight out. Bow. Because he had, that's how Roberto Duran looked when Hitman hit him. Um, and even with him getting in there, yeah, yeah, Eric, I know you've seen it a million times because I know I've seen it. Um, but even with even when he fought Marvin Hagler, see that was crazy because his two biggest tests was against Sugar Ray and Marvin, and that let you know that even though Tommy was different, Sugar Ray and Marvin was just as different, but they all were special and unique in their own way, all of them. Um, and even when he took his time off and he came back, um, he still was pretty damn impressive for a man that was leaving and coming back. Because even if you take a year off, even if you take 6 months off, there's always a new person coming in, and the rankings are always going to start to look different. So the rankings are not going to probably look the same as they did when you were in. So when the time you come back, depends on how much time you take off. You come back and you like, oh God, how the hell is this guy ranked this? How is he ranked that? Oh, I've been going for a minute. And then it's like you have to start the process. Some people have to start the process over, and some people could just jump right back into where they left off at. Don't act like y'all ain't never seen that. Like you ain't never see a fighter be out for a while, then you come back, you like, wait a minute, he skipped the line. He wasn't no mandatory. How the hell is he getting a shot? Your mind starts to work. Now for some slow people, they'll just be like, yeah, but he's undefeated, or who's gonna beat him, or he deserved it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like every fighter that you see that go through that is something with that. But it is what it is. But um yeah, Tommy was, man, he was a, I don't want to call him a freak in nature, but he could bust you up in there in so many different ways in that ring. So many different ways that you probably wouldn't even recover from it. I've sat and watched a couple of his fights, and you go YouTube acting up again. Wasn't me, y'all. I'm letting y'all know right now. My hands are right here, so if it goes blank, that's YouTube doing that. There was even a point in the fight where his fights had to be stopped. I think, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna go back to make sure. Hold on, y'all. But yeah, it was he was Tommy was definitely set up different. My brother D Free, what up?
What up?
Chilling, man. Yeah, I was supposed to did this at 4:15, but I had running around I had to do, and then I had to cook dinner, man. So no, I should have been got this over with, but hopefully it's better to do it this time because hopefully more people can join. But
Hey, I'm
what's
glad
going
you
on,
did it at
brother?
this time. I'm glad you did it at this time because my ass fell straight to sleep when I got in the house. So I was not. I
Oh
woke up at
man,
6:40. I was like, "Oh shit, Clarence was supposed to be on at 4:30." I was like, "Damn!"
no,
I looked and saw you had changed the time. I was like, "Bad, I didn't miss it."
he's that bad. Yeah, yes, you should be tired as much as shit. You move around, so you have every right to be. Well, listen, this is here, man. We here. Thomas Hitman Hearns, man. Give me your thoughts on the first time you seen Thomas Hitman Hearns and what did you think of him?
Um, the to be honest, the very first time that I saw Thomas Hitman Hearns was against Sugar Ray Leonard, and
Okay.
the very first time I laid eyes on him, I was like, "How in the hell this tall ass dude making 147?" That was the first thing I thought because I knew how big Sugar Ray was because I seen him in person. So I
Yeah.
was trying to figure out how the hell was this tall ass dude making 147 because he was Snoop Dogg before Snoop Dogg was Snoop Dogg. He was the tallest dude. I that frail. I've never seen nobody that tall and that frail in my life because
Yeah.
I was a young kid at that time. So
Yeah.
all the tall dudes that I knew of played basketball. So when I saw Thomas Hitman Hearns, I think he was what, like 6'3", 6'4"? I'm sitting there looking at him like, damn, this nigga tall as shit. And he fighting at 147?
Yeah.
I mean, but far as his skill level, I was like, damn, he's a hell of a fighter. The
Yeah.
man, the man is a he knows how to use his jab, and he knows how to keep you in on the end of his punches.
Uh-huh.
And that was the thing that made Tommy Hitman Hearns so good is because he had a hell of a jab and he know how to keep you on the end of those punches.
Yeah.
The only problem for Thomas was if you got on the inside with him. His arms were so long that he couldn't really fight on the inside. He couldn't get the leverage that he needed on those punches. And that's why a lot of the fights that you've seen that he lost, it was because the guys was able to get inside of his jab. They was able to get in his comfort zone. And so with Thomas Hitman Hearns, if he was able to keep you on the outside and you was a boxer and you only knew how to box, you didn't know how to bang on the inside, you was that it was a bad matchup to go against Tommy Hitman Hearns because he was so much taller and longer than everybody at 47 at that time frame. You
Yeah.
you you almost you was almost at a disadvantage because well you was at a disadvantage because his arms was longer. I think he had like a 5 or 6 inch reach on just about everybody in the weight class. So
Yeah.
you you had to develop a inside game to fight Thomas Hitman Hearn. If you like I said, all of those guys, the four kings, the ones that beat him was was Sugar Ray, and Hagler because
Yeah.
they was able to get on the inside. Sugar Ray was able to use his footwork and his hand speed, and Hagler was able to get on the inside and catch Thomas. But when Roberto Duran tried to get in there with Thomas, Roberto Duran didn't know how to penetrate that armor. He couldn't get to the inside. So you you look at Thomas Hitman Hearns as a freak of nature at that time because there was
Yeah.
nobody his size and his length at
Yeah.
that weight class. So he was one of one at that time in the 80s.
Yeah. I didn't know nothing about weight classes back then. I didn't know nothing about you being tall for the weight class. I didn't really acknowledge all that until as I got older. So when I hear a guy is six something, and he's 147, just like somebody walking in today and not knowing that it's not normal for you to be 6'5" and be 154 pounds. A lot of people that see Sebastian Vendora wouldn't even know that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, damn, this guy is 6'5", 154 pounds. That's not even normal. So yeah, I mean, but if you don't learn that, hey, this is he's tall for his weight class, or you won't know. Yeah, my greatest my memories are, like I said, of all the fights he had. The best memory I got of him is him knocking out Duran though. Jay Gibson, what's up? Knocking out Duran was the best one for me. Cause he hit Duran and Duran looked like, I'm telling you, he looked like one of them drunk mans coming out the club at 4 a.m.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Roberto Duran was 1-3 out of the Kings. He got that win against Sugar Ray in the first fight, and then he
Yeah.
quit the second fight, but he couldn't beat nobody else. And he to be honest with you, I think the only reason why he got that win is because Sugar Ray was off his game plan that night. Because we saw when Sugar Ray is on his game plan, Roberto Duran couldn't keep up with Sugar Ray. Sugar Ray hands was too fast, his footwork was too good. He couldn't keep up with him. But um, Roberto, he probably he wasn't he's a legend for sure. He's not a bad fighter at no stretch of the means. But out of the four, he was the weak link because of his size. Roberto was smaller than those guys. Roberto came up from a smaller weight class. He was smaller than those guys, so he was the weak link out of those four. But he wasn't nobody's punching bag, and he wasn't a slouch. He if you wasn't on your game plan, Roberto was gonna beat you down, and he was gonna beat you down bad.
Yeah. With Tommy though, it was just like, man, damn, man, he was, like you said, a freak of nature, and intimidating too. Might I add, very intimidating, because you ever looked at how Tommy used to look at his opponents? We always talked about how Mike looked at his opponents. Tommy was the type of dude where I don't care how slim he was, you have to stand across from Tommy and he's staring at you like that, bro. That's enough to make you say, man, I'm good. But once you in there, you in there. Smoke, what up? Um, he was definitely something unique and special. Um, I remember he stopped and then he came back. What year was that he stopped and he came back? Because there was a time he stopped and he came back into boxing.
Who was that?
Tommy, wasn't there a time he had took some time? Because I remember he came back and fought this young kid that I was just talking about him. He was 22-0. He beat the kid, and then the very next week the kid died. Uh,
I can't. It doesn't recollect in my memory right now.
yeah, yeah, he had the kid had died or whatever, but Tommy had came back, and I was telling people it didn't matter who that kid fought. That kid was 22-0. Anything could have happened. You know what I mean? That dude could have put it on Tommy, but it didn't go that way. You know what I mean? So for him to give him that kid his first loss in 22 fights was pretty damn impressive. But Tommy was just set up different. Free, which one to you was more impressive? The first fight with Sugar Ray or the second one? Which one you thought was better? And what did you see Tommy do different in the second fight that he might have not did in the first fight?
Um, well, I'm gonna go to the second part of that question first. What I saw him do better that he didn't do in the first fight is try to establish the distance. He tried to keep Sugar Ray on the end of his punches. Um, it was it 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 was still to none avail, but he tried to keep Sugar Ray on the end of his punches. Um, but the first fight was the best one because for one, both those guys was 25 and they was fighting for undisputed. Both of those guys had two belts and they was trying to become, I mean, I'm sorry, one guy had two belts, the other one had one belt, and they was fighting for undisputed. and they was trying to unify the belts. So that
Yeah,
fight was more meaningful, and it was I think it was more on the line. Usually, when you have those guys fight for the first time, it's usually, especially when it's more on the line than the second fight. It's usually the better fight. Sometimes the second fight is better, but usually the first fight is the best fight because there's more on the line. It's more meaningful. But for me, the first fight was better because, like I said, they was unifying the titles to become undisputed, and they both was 25, and it was the first time that these two had met up, and everybody wanted to see who would win between these two guys. When it got to the second fight, you already knew what happened in the first fight, and you was just watching to see if Tommy could change what he didn't do in the first fight. So it wasn't the expectation of the first fight because we already seen the first fight. We already seen what the outcome was, but it was still a good fight, but the first fight was better for me. Like I said, the thing that I saw that Tommy did different was he tried to keep Sugar Ray on the end of his punches more, and he tried to establish that distance more with Sugar Ray. It wasn't it just Sugar Ray was on a different level when it came to Tommy because of his foot speed and his hand speed. Tommy couldn't really keep up with Sugar Ray because Sugar Ray would stay keeping Tommy turning. Sugar Ray was one of those fighters that would never stay right in front of you. A lot of and I mean nowadays people say, "Oh, he's running," but no,
yeah,
that was the absolutely epitome of boxing. He would hit you and then he would not be there for you to hit back. You had to reset, turn around, and figure out where he was at. So it just Sugar Ray, that was one thing outside of the hand speed, one thing Sugar Ray always worked on in the gym was his footwork. He always worked on his footwork. He didn't care about the power or anything like that. He had decent power, but Sugar Ray always worked on his footwork outside of working on his hand speed. And that's the one thing that you know about Sugar Ray is his hand speed and his footwork. Those are the two biggest things that you know about Sugar Ray. If anybody asks you what's Sugar Ray's biggest attribute, it's either going to be his hand speed or it's going to be his footwork. Those are going to be the two biggest things that people want to bring up.
yeah. Um, what happens what happens if Tommy Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard never, if the fight would have never happened? I'm sorry, it went in and out.
Oh yeah, you good.
Okay,
You said what would have happened if they
so
would have
yeah, Tommy, let's just say none of the four kings, none of those fights ever would have happened. How would have affect the boxing world if it had never happened?
I don't know if Marvelous Marvin Hagler would um have the name that he has now. I don't know if Roberto Duran would have the name that he has now.
Hmm.
Actually, I don't know if Tommy would have the name that he has now neither. Sugar Ray was already the name at that division. He was already the money man. Sugar Ray was the money man. Everybody was gunning for Sugar Ray. So I think Sugar Ray would still be what he is today if he never fought none of those guys. But it just solidified what Sugar Ray was. And I think Tommy Hitman Hearns, he probably would be a good fighter, but I don't know if he would be looked at the way he's looked at now. Same with the rest of them. I don't know if they would be looked at the same way they looked at now because they were the four kings and they all mixed it up. And that's what we're trying to get nowadays. I mean, if it wasn't for the four kings, we wouldn't be trying to get that nowadays. So
Yeah,
we doing that to these young guys because of Sugar Ray, Roberto, Hagler, and Tommy. Because of those guys. That's the reason why we're doing what we're doing now to these younger guys. So I think it would never be the four kings for one. It would never be the four kings. And if they never fought, I don't know if those guys will be remembered the way they are now if they would have never fought. I think
Yeah.
Sugar Ray would, because like I said, Sugar Ray was already the money man. I think everybody would still look at Sugar Ray as what he is because he was already that money man. He was already the 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 fighter that everybody had to beat. They had to beat Sugar Ray. In order for you to have a name, you had to at least get in there with Sugar Ray. And once you get in there, you had to either give him a tough fight or you had to beat him. And if you didn't do that, you pretty much was looked at, okay, that's just another guy. So
Mm. Yeah, because I always wonder that. I sit and think, and I go, damn, what would the boxing world be like today if those fights didn't take place 35 years ago or 40 years ago? I just sit and think about that, and and it's funny you said that because what they were doing then is exactly what we're trying to get today, but we just in different times today, and that's going to be a little struggle.
like nowadays, if you think about it, when you mention those four guys, anytime you mention any one of those four guys, you talk about one of the other ones. So
Yeah.
if they didn't fight, you wouldn't be talking about Hagler. If Hagler didn't fight Tommy and he didn't fight Roberto, he didn't fight Sugar Ray.
Hmm.
You wouldn't be talking about Hagler if he didn't fight Tommy, Sugar Ray, and Roberto. You wouldn't be talking about Roberto if he didn't fight Sugar Ray, Tommy, and Hagler. Now, I'm not gonna say you wouldn't be talking about Sugar Ray because Sugar Ray was already the money man.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. It's yeah for you, yeah bro, you right. And I'm gonna get to Ray probably next week.
Yeah,
I should have kept all of them in the same damn thing because it don't make no sense. They all fought each other. I'm gonna be coming back next week talking about the same damn thing, but
Ray,
it's okay.
Sugar Ray is the only one that beat all of them. He's the only one. And if it wasn't for that first fight that he had with Hagler, he would be 3-0 against all of them.
Yeah. I like that first fight because that first
Yeah,
fight
first
with
fight with
Ray
the
and Tommy. After a while, Tommy started waking up, puffing the shit out of Ray's eye. Ray went back to that corner. His eye was puffy. I said, "Ooh, he getting him now." But then at some point, he couldn't take those punches coming from Ray, and it wasn't even just about the punches. Ray's hands were so fast. He had quick hands. I don't even think Tommy got a chance to even react to some of those punches.
most people don't. Most people don't. They see his glove right here, and
Yeah,
then next thing you know, all you see is his face, and you getting hit, and you're like, damn, where the fuck the glove go? So I mean, a lot of people wasn't able to react to Sugar Ray because Sugar Ray was that's what he was known for, fast hands. And
yeah,
if you didn't have a quick reaction or you didn't have the defense to be able to stop his fast hands, you was gonna get caught with a shot that you didn't see. 90% of the punches, I mean 90% of the knockouts that Ray knocked somebody out, it was the punch that they didn't see. 90% of them. It was very seldom he hit you with a shot that you saw and he just rocked you and he just went ahead and finished you off. Majority, 90% of them was a shot they didn't see because he hit you with a combination and you thought it was over and he caught you with another one. And you didn't see that last punch coming.
yeah. When I watch some of his videos, I go, damn, man. But like I said, all of them, all four of them was unique in their own way.
Yeah.
All of them. And that's why when I look at some of the dudes today, I go, man, if y'all get the hell out of here, because let me tell you something. If all four of these guys was in your time right now with these dudes today, it'd be murder she wrote.
Yeah. I mean, if you
It'd be murder she wrote.
the way I look at it, I gave all of them a superhero name. I called Sugar Ray Flash. I called Tommy Hitman Stretch Armstrong. He
Mm.
was he was Elastic Man because that nigga was tall and lanky. He was Elastic Man.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I called
yeah,
Roberto Duran the Hawk, and I call Hagler the Terminator. So I
yeah,
mean, I gave all of them a superhero name because they wasn't like any other fighter. 9 times out of 10, you put another fighter in there, they wasn't beating those guys. That's why they was the Four Kings because nobody else was beating them but them at the time. They was the only ones that was beating those guys. Man, what are you doing?
Yeah. Um, they were definitely unique in their own way. They definitely were, and whenever I always want to sit back and watch me a good old throwback, man. What he said? He said stretch. Yeah, he said stretch on to free. Yeah, yeah. I didn't think free was gonna say stretch.
No,
And now when you think about it now, yeah, it makes perfect sense now when you think about it. Tommy arms was long as shit.
no, that man is linky.
Hey, Tommy
Hey,
could slap you from across. Tommy
hey,
could be standing across the street and slap you.
hey, Four Corners. I lived in New York for 6 years. I I know about Stretch Armstrong.
Hey, hey, that was dope that they got them superhero names like that. Um, every fighter has a downfall, of course. That's human nature. Um, did you ever see a downfall in Tommy? Did you see a weakness? Did you ever question his chin, especially after the Marvin Hagler fight? Did you ever question that?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a downfall in Tommy because after the Hagler, that was a brutal knockout, and he was more accessible to getting knocked out in future fights, and he started taking more punishment as his career went on, and that's the reason
Yeah,
why that's the reason why uh 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 Tommy speak the way he speaks now because he took so much punishment in his career after that Hagler fight. He took so much punishment, and it was almost like Hagler gave everybody the blueprint of how to beat Tommy. You got to get on the inside. If you can't get on the inside, you ain't gonna beat him. And so once everybody seen that, they started getting on the inside of Hearns, and that was his downfall because he wasn't able. He wasn't able to keep people on the outside of his jab. He did for the most part, but those top level guys that wasn't that wasn't elite, but they was good enough. They was able to get on the inside of Hearns, and he was taking shots that early in his career he wasn't taking. And so that was the downfall of Hearns taking those shots that he wasn't taking early in his career because it caused him to have a speech impediment. It's caused him to
yeah,
not for the younger generation. If they never saw those earlier fights, they would look at Hagler as not being one of those dudes. They were like, man, Hagler's always getting beat up. I mean, Hearns, he's always getting beat up. But if you look at Hearns in the earlier years, in the early '80s, before he met Hagler, you would say, nah, Hearns was that dude. He was that dude. Yeah, he lost to Sugar Ray, but he was that dude.
yeah, yeah. That's a fact. And it's sad to see him like that now. I was just looking at an interview with it was him and Zab and James Tony and shit, I forgot the other guy's name. But anyway, I was listening to Tommy talk, and I was like, "Is it me? Is Tommy talking slower now?"
Yeah.
Like it seemed like it got slower, and I'm like, "Oh, I know he's older now, but when you listen to Sugar Ray, you would just think that Sugar went through his whole career with no problem. Because when you hear Sugar, it's like, damn, Sugar's still out here doing his workouts and all that. I'm like, damn, Sugar's 60 some years old and still out here doing it. And then you look at Tommy, and then you go, oh man, what happened?
And that's the thing. You're gonna see the same thing with James Tony. You're gonna
Yeah,
see the same thing with Riddick Bowe. Those guys that take a lot of punishment, and even Medrick Taylor, he's another one. When you take a lot
yeah,
of punishment and it causes you to have a speech impediment, as you get older, the one thing that slows down is all of your functions.
yeah,
So your speaking already going to slow down when you get older as it is, and now that you got
yeah,
a problem with speaking from you taking so much head trauma, that's going to make it even worse. So when he retired, it was hard to understand what he was saying. Now it's even harder because he's almost in his 70s. it's even harder to hear
Yeah,
what he's saying because understand what he's saying because it's even worse because he has the old man syndrome on top of the fact that he took so much head trauma.
yeah, and I hate to see that when I hear these guys talk, and I go, you guys today, be careful, because that very well could be you. And these guys took more than a little bit of punishment. Even in the Four Kings, when you look at all the fights that they had, there was a lot of punishment being given out. A lot of it.
Yeah,
A
especially
lot of
from
them were they
Hagler
would do that.
from Hagler and Roberto. Hagler and Roberto were because they were come forward fighters. They came forward and they wasn't worried about getting hit because they was going to throw something back that they knew that you couldn't stand up to. So they wasn't worried about taking punches because they was willing to give up one to land one. So those guys took a lot of punishment in their career because of the style of fighting they had. That's the reason why Sugar Ray is the one that you see. I mean, Roberto don't have a real bad problem, anything like that, as far as I know of.
Yeah,
Hagler never really had one neither. But Sugar Ray was the one that you saw was still having all of the functions and was moving around and doing stuff because he didn't take a lot of punishment.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, it's like I said, it's sad to see that like that, but it doesn't take away from they left us um what they left on the table was it was crazy because they left us with classics. They left us with fights that we never will forget. And when we want to get away from what's going on today, and sometimes we just want to, go back into time. When you go back into those fights, I mean, you can't erase that. You can't erase that. And we witnessed the four greatest. But it was something that stood out about Tommy, even though the rest of them was just as bad. One thing about him, though, right? Even when Ray beat him and when Marvin beat him, he still was trying to hang in there. Like, yeah, what's the next fight? Yeah, what I mean? He was definitely different, man. Hearns left a lot in the Crunk Gym Wars. Yeah, I'm gonna get to Crunk Gym too. My plan is to go to Detroit, and I'm going to the Crunk. I ain't going for nothing else. 'Cause Detroit is a very serious city, so just like any other part of the world, so you got to be careful. But I am making it my business to go to Detroit to the Crunk Gym, and I'm gonna make that happen. I don't know when, but I'm going to make it happen. Please believe that. Smash my like button, y'all. Smash my like button. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you're subscribed already, I appreciate you. But like and share. Share this out. Anybody that want to be a part of throwback conversations like this is the place to be every Thursday, man. I think I'm gonna start waiting till later to do it on Thursdays. I always do it early, about 4:15. I might change my time to 8:05 because I can see a lot more of y'all coming in now than at 4:15. 4:15, people still at work, D free,
Yeah.
or they on their way home. So this would be this 8:05 would be a decent enough time for me. Um Now my famous question. This is the most famous question because I always got to bring this up. It wouldn't be right if I didn't. At a welterweight at 147, well, between 147 and 154, what would Thomas Hitman Hearns be like today?
Knocking out Sebastian Findor.
Now, why you got to go pick on Sebastian? Come on, man. Man, bro, why you got to go pick on Sebastian? Is he
He
the
the, he,
tallest one over there?
he the closest man to his height. Nah,
Oh,
today,
you damn.
today, I say Jerron, Bud, uh, Jerron Bud, possibly Earl early in his career. Maybe Tim Zoo. I think those are the only ones that gives him a problem. Everybody else, I think he runs through everybody else. I think those are the
Tommy
only ones.
versus
And
he said Tommy versus
maybe
Charlo would have been fire.
yeah, maybe Charlo too. Charlo too. I think those are the only guys that might give him a problem. Everybody else, I think Tommy runs through everybody else. I
You
think
know what's so crazy?
what's that?
And this dude is the same from this dude is from the same town as him. But I would hate to see what he would have did to Tony Harrison.
Oh, he sleeps Tony Harrison. Easy. Easy. Tony Harrison. Easy. Tony Harrison wouldn't be able to stay out of the way of Hearns' jab. He wouldn't be able to stay out of the way of Hearns' jab. And Tony Harrison's so small. Tony Harrison footwork ain't good enough. He got decent footwork, but it ain't good enough to stay away from Hearns. And I think Hearns put him to sleep somewhere between round 6 and round 8. He put him to sleep.
You know what? A Tommy Hearns and a Tommy Hearns and a Jerome Bruce Ennis at 54 sounds crazy.
Tommy Hearns and Jerome. I think Jerome Bruce Ennis, his boxing ability and his reflex is good enough to be in there with Hearns. I don't know. I just don't know who's going to land the knockout shot. Hearns could very well land the knockout shot, and Boots can very well land the knockout shot. I don't know which one will.
Yeah, my brother Four Corners said he don't last 3 rounds. Tony don't last 3 rounds. Damn.
I give Tony the benefit of the doubt because of his boxing ability, but he's going to sleep. That's no doubt about it. What round it be?
So Four Corners said probably by the second round he go night. He go night.
Yeah. I don't. I mean that's no doubt in my mind. He's going to sleep. I don't know what round it is, but he's definitely going to sleep.
Let's see.
He wasn't a hitman for no reason. That man was a hitman. He was putting you out. He was taking you out of there.
But but with him, with Tommy and Sebastian Findor, I don't think I would want to. And I like Sebastian, but Sebastian, I don't want to.
Sebastian going to sleep early. He's going to. I don't got him lasting 3 rounds. I don't got him lasting. Sebastian, for one, he doesn't have footwork. For 2, he don't know how to fight at a distance. He don't know how to fight at a distance. He is all wrong from Hagler. That's a bad matchup for Fedor.
That same punch that Mendoza caught, Brian caught with him. Brian Mendoza caught with him. If Tommy hit him with that same thing, he doesn't get up.
No, if Tommy hit Sebastian Fedor with any clean shot, Sebastian Fedor, not only will he be seeing straight, he will be physically in a wheelchair. That man, Sebastian Fedor, the problem that Sebastian Fedor has, and that's the reason why he went to sleep with Brian Mendoza.
Yeah,
he's so tall, he don't know how to keep his chin tucked because he's so much taller than everybody. He figured he don't need to keep his chin tucked. That man, he keeps his chin straight up in the air.
And Tommy would make him pay for that.
Yes, Tommy's close to his height. Tommy was like 6'3", 6'4", and Sebastian's 6'6", 6'7". Man, Sebastian's going to sleep.
Yeah, you ain't gonna be able to wake him up. He going night. By the time he do wake up, he's signed to a whole new promotion. He went to sleep and he was with Al and woke up and he with Eddie.
That man he went to sleep. He was with Tupac. He woke up. He was with Biggie. Nigga, I woke up dead. How you wake up dead? Because I was when I went to sleep, and when I got up, I was dead.
Yo. Hey, you was an idiot, boy. Lord have mercy, Jesus. I'm telling you, what do y'all think because we never asked the people. Jay Gibson, Tay Tay, Four Corners, everybody who's watching. From 147 to 154, who would y'all like to see Tommy Morrison in there with? If we're talking about a young Tommy, a 25-year-old Tommy.
Tommy Hearns, not Tommy Morrison.
Excuse me, not Tommy Morrison. Excuse me, you got me messing up. Tommy Hearns. Y'all got me messing up. You know what? We gonna get on Morrison too.
Yeah.
We gonna get on him.
I ain't gonna lie. Morrison was my dude. That was my favorite white guy in the sport of boxing when he was
Oh,
coming
I
up.
thought I was. I thought I was the only one. Okay, so
until he ran against Ray Mercer, I was on that Tommy Morrison train. He ran against Ray Mercer. I was like, damn, you was winning. You was winning.
You know what? You know what? Next week. That's what we'll do. We'll bring Tommy next week. That's what we'll do. Because if I don't do it, it'll end up going over me. We'll do that. We'll do Tommy next week. We're gonna. A matter of fact, I'm gonna set it up. Oh hell no, Jay Gibson, are you crazy?
No, Sean Porter. Sean Porter ain't never been knocked out. As I mean, he was the towel was thrown in. He ain't never been knocked out. He will be knocked out. That it was saying. Showtime,
hey,
Sean Porter. Showtime is now closed.
I'm gonna tell you something, Jay Gibson. I don't know if you know or not. When they asked him about boots, he said hell no. So what you think he gonna say about Tommy?
They say you got to get in there with Thomas Hitman Hearns. Man, I'm a podcaster. I quit. I'm a podcaster. I don't fight. I just broadcast about the fight.
Sean, you know what? Sean's smart because he made his money. He made his money. He got out. He still got his brain attached. That's smart. That's how you do it. You got to know when to get out. Gotta know when to get out.
He wasn't smart enough to get a stylist. That's what he wasn't smart enough.
You know what? You ain't.
Oh, that nigga be coming up with the weirdest combination I have ever seen in my life. I don't even. I really think he got a grandchild. I think he got a grandchild somewhere, and his grandchild picked out his outfit. Because I'm trying to figure out how do you come.
Man ain't that old to be no. You know what? This dude right here, bro.
I'm trying to figure out how do you come up with the
Seawood
of those outfits. What's going on, Seawood? I see.
Maybe his stylist is telling him he look good in it, and he looks in the mirror and go, you know what? This is what I'm wearing today.
You're right. His stylist is Stevie Wonder. He can't see shit. He just grabbing shit and giving it to him. That's who his stylist is, Stevie Wonder. Because there's no way to world.
This dude right here,
crazy out here that could put outfits together better than he can. No, you can't tell me that man be looking good in the outfit.
Well, you know, if you look at a lot of them, when they go on and you go, what are you wearing, bro? Like a lot of them, I'll be like, what are you wearing, bro? Who's dressing you?
Yeah, some of them, but he's on a consistent basis. You always like
he's on a consistent basis.
What do he have on? It's a consistent basis with him. I understand every once in a while a person to put something on. You be like, dog, what are you wearing?
Putting his clothes together like.
I mean, every once in a while, you look at Tank, you look at Devin, you be like, dog, what the fuck you got on? You don't normally wear that. What man? What do you got on? But Sean Porter,
you know what is it? Was it does money? Not speaking for me and you, but for some people, I think what it is, people they try it out, and then I guess they feel like they look good in it. Somebody told them they look good on it, or they just figure because they got money, I could dress any kind of way, and I don't care what people say. I'm a millionaire.
That's not what it is. That's not what it is.
What is it?
I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's because it's a designer. It's a designer. When they say, "Oh, such and such made this," I'm about to go get it. And they go get it and they put it on, and you like, dog, do you know you look like a goddamn chia pet? Take that shit off.
They come and do with the Roddy Piper look, and I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing, bro?
No, it's just it's because it's a designer. A person say, "Hey, I made this," and everybody everybody knows, oh, it's a Versace, or it's Gucci, or it's Louis Vuitton,
Yeah.
or it's Dior. And they were like, man, what? This Dior, this shit cost me $1,700. I don't give a fuck if it costs $5. You don't need to be wearing.
Hey, for future reference, don't make nothing for me. I ain't wearing it. I don't
like
care who it's going.
I mean, those guys, you'll see it every once in a while. Him, it's every time. Every time. Even when he put on regular street clothes, you like, oh, what the fuck you got
I'm
on?
starting to think he designs his own joint. Like he don't make. I don't know, man. Because it seemed like he does. Like he just does his own. He do his own thing.
It's his grandchild. I'm telling you. He got a.
Yo, that man ain't got no great. Yo, he ain't that old. Why you making this like that man like 60? Stop.
No, it ain't gotta be that. Nowadays, though, you could be a grandfather at 35.
Yeah, but his son is. His son is not. Well, he ain't little, but his son is. I think that's the only child he got for what I know. But no, you right. No, they can't be.
That's something you know about because they shit is 5 years old. So I've been a grandfather since I was 43. I'm 48.
Yeah, but you old. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, me and you put together are older than Sean.
Yeah, we are. I am. I'm the same. I'm a year older than Floyd. I'm a year older than Floyd. But I mean, I know as grandparents that's 35 years old. I mean,
Yeah, but I don't think Sean has a child that old. So, but it would have been possible if he did, though. But Lord, I would not want to be 35 and my grandchild is whatever the age they are, and they helping me get dressed.
Sean Porter
Lord.
got it 37, 38, right about
He's got to be. He's got to be not too far from Crawford and Spence, or maybe just a year or two older than him.
I'm about to look him up right now. I think he's like 37, 38, somewhere around there. He's somewhere around there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know who put his clothes together. I really believe that he got Stevie Wonder doing it because you cannot tell me this man.
You ain't right, bro.
This man is this. They don't even have his birth date in here. Hold on.
They ain't gonna probably put it on there.
I'm about to go to Wikipedia.
Smash that like button, y'all. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. We are talking about the legend, the Hall of Famer, Thomas Hitman Hearns. Next week we'll be talking about Tommy Morrison. Okay, Duke. So next week, Tommy Morrison. Next week, 30. He said Seawood said 36.
Yeah, 36. Yeah, he old enough to be a grandfather. But I mean, even if it's not his grandchild, it's probably his child. His son probably like 12, 13 years old. He probably putting together this shit look good right here. Put it on. We wear this in school, Dad.
So we gonna run with that, D Free. That's what happened. We gonna run with that. That's the story we gonna run with.
I think Man might be dressing him. I think Man might. I think Man might say, "Hey, Sean, put this on."
Man, now you know you ain't about to do that. Man dressed better than that.
I know he do, but he told Sean to put that on, and he said he was putting it on.
Oh, he set Sean up then. He set him the hell up.
That nigga Man to go in the room and put on a brand new Jordan outfit and some Jordans on, and you be like, "Oh, who picked that off for?" I did.
Shout out to my man Big Dream. It's my boy right there. Big Dream in the building, man. Yeah, but yeah, when you think about it, they better be glad that guys like Tommy is around, but not around. 25 years old in his prime. And guys today, you talk about somebody being the boogeyman. I feel like, in my opinion, anywhere from that, I could see Jerron maybe calling him out. I could see Jerron doing that. But anybody else between 47 and 54? I don't know. Maybe Tim Zoo crazy ass might have the audacity to say, "Yeah, I'll take it."
I can see those guys wanting to fight him if he was in front of them. If he was right there with them or right behind them, I don't know if they take that fight. I don't know. Because like I said, at that time, Jerron might take the fight, but at that time, I mean, you got to understand the era that Hitman was brought up in and the era that these guys are brought up in are two totally different eras. I
Totally
don't
too
I
different.
don't think I don't think none of these guys are built for the era of the 80s. None of them are built for the era of the 80s because at a small point in time in the 80s, they still had 15 rounds. It wasn't until like 81, 82. Oh no, I'm sorry, 82, 83. They went to 12 rounds. Cause
Yeah,
I think it was the fight that Sugar Ray had with Hagler, where Hagler wanted to do 15 and Sugar was like, nah, we doing 12. And
yeah.
so at that time, they were still doing 15 rounds. I don't think these guys can make it 15 rounds. And then like I said before when we was talking about it, in the 80s, these guys had to really work out to get in shape. They didn't have the equipment that these guys got now, where all they got to do is go get on a unisex uh, 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 bench press and yeah, unisex bench press and work out. Nah, you niggas was out there lifting tires and jumping rope with extension cords and all kind. I mean, they literally had to get it out the mud. They wasn't able to go into a gym and the gym had all the state of the art equipment. Nah, they went to a gym and your punching bag might had a hole in it and they went and taped that bitch up. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think that these guys is built for that era.
No, totally different. Guys today are spoiled. And then times are just different. That's the thing that everybody's gonna say. Times are different. They're absolutely right. I don't think if you took the guys even from today and put them in the era back then, either way you look at it, vice versa, it wouldn't have worked out for them.
Yeah,
For a lot of them, it will work out.
I think some of these people, some of these fighters would do well back there, but it wouldn't be that many undefeated fighters. I can tell you that
You
right
know
now.
what? You know what? I just came up with an idea, but I ain't gonna say it on live because people take your shit and run with it. But behind scenes, free, I got an idea. But
Yeah,
the thing is, we're gonna need a couple of people's participation in it.
yeah. I don't think it would be so many undefeated fighters in the sport of boxing if they was fighting in the 80s. I think it would be a few, but not as many as you see right now.
Yeah, I got an idea to come up to do something. We're gonna do something. I'm
Now,
thinking about it.
think about it. I don't remember seeing these many undefeated fighters so highly spoke about and so highly ranked back in the 80s and the 90s. It wasn't that many undefeated fighters like that. There was a few of them. There was a few. There was like probably about 5 or 6, but it wasn't like no 20 some undefeated fighters that's highly ranked in the daggone sport of boxing. Like
No,
these niggas be having 20-0. Who you fought? Who you fought that give you 20-0 and
he
you
said
rank
20 low. Who you for?
you rank like you rank number 3 in the WBC. Nigga, I never heard of this dude before. Who did he fight? Like I was talking about this on another platform I was on right before I came on here. They was talking about Abdullah and Keyshawn. And I said they moving Keyshawn a certain way because he's a silver medalist and they trying to make him a champion. Because
Yeah.
if you go back and think about it, just look at all the fights Keyshawn had. Keyshawn's ranked number 3 in the WBO. I mean the WBC. Look at all the
Okay.
fights he had. Every sanctioned body, I don't care which sanctioned body you pick. Name one top 10 fighter in that sanctioned body that Keyshawn has fought. It ain't one. It ain't one. But he's number 3 in the WBO, and he's like number 4 in the WBC or something like that. He's ranked in all these sanctioning bodies. Oh, number 3 in the WBC and like number 2 in the WBO or something like that. He's
Yeah.
ranked in all these sanctioning. You ain't fighting nobody in the top of the section. You ain't fighting nobody in the top 10 of none of these
Why do
sections.
you think that is? Why do you think they're able to do that? Why? Why do you think that it's like that? Because of their amateur background? What is it that why is it like that?
Politics and money.
Politics and money. There you have it.
Politics and money.
I mean, but even with that, right? Because those are powerful. Politics and money is powerful. But I mean, but does that make it right for the sport? Because it seems like it's kind of like favoritism to some people.
No,
To some people.
that's the reason why. That's the reason why we have guys saying, "Oh, I don't have to fight this guy." That's the reason why we have that, because
Yeah.
if your promotional company is in good with a certain sanctioning body, you don't have to fight certain fighters to move up in the sanctioning body. You just got to fight the fight that the sanctioning body say, okay, well, if you're not gonna fight him, then fight him. All right, I'll fight him. He's the easier fight.
Yeah.
You know, that guy might be like Tio, ranked number 13 in the sanctioning body. All of a sudden, right before the fight, we're gonna move him up to number 8. The man was ranked number 13 when Tio signed him. When Tio signed the contract to fight him, he was ranked number 13 in Tio's sanctioning body. In the WBO sanctioning body, he was ranked number 13. Didn't have a fight. But on the day that it's time for him to come into the ring, all of a sudden he's number 8. How the hell? What 7 dudes or what's 5 dudes lost for him to move up to number 8? He was just number 13. How did he move up to number 8? He ain't had no fight. He was training for Tio. That's the reason why we have stuff the way we have it.
And I'm afraid that it's going to only get worse. It's only going to get worse. But hey, you can't tell guys this. You know why? Because they're gonna say my guy ain't got to fight nobody. Why my guy got to fight this guy? He ain't got to do nothing. He can fight whoever he wants to. He's the man.
But
Let me tell you something. Back in the Four Kings time, you talk that shit if you want to. You talk that if you want to. To see how far you was gonna make it.
yeah, I mean,
It's but we in different times. So that's just something that comes with it. It's crazy because I be sitting here baffled behind it, like what?
yeah,
And it's just something that's going to continue. But this is why I give props to the fighters who stay active.
and don't.
And even if I don't know who their opponents are, or if I see them fighting 3 times in 1 year, man, I'll be like, look, man, I salute you.
No,
But the
that's
rest of y'all need to get together.
that's the question nobody can answer. This man is ranked number 2 in the WBC, number 3 in the number 2 in the WBO, number 3 in the WBC at 135. He got 11 fights now. Didn't fight nobody in the top 10. But at the same token, the Dula Mason got 14 fights. He ain't fighting nobody in the top 10. And this man ain't ranked in none of the sanctioned bodies. Not in the top 10. He ain't ranked in the top 10 in none of the sanctioned bodies. But he got 14 fights. And one guy got 11 fights. And neither one of them fought anybody. I mean, like I said, Keyshawn, if you want to count an old washed up Pedraza that was at 140 and he moved down to fight Keyshawn at 135. If you want to count that. But other than that, ain't none of them fight nobody. They said, "Oh, this is a tough fight." Never heard of the dude before. He's a tough individual. He's a veteran. He got 30-something fights. Okay, who he fought? Well, he lost to such and such. He lost to him.
So when we were talking about all the other guys, Buddy McGirt, that was the name I was mentioning when I was talking about how all of them were sitting down talking. I forgot. I just seen it come across my phone. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but yeah, but it just it's corrupt and it's not going to get no better. But I mean, at this point, you gotta deal with it and hope that these fighters smart up and go take the fight that the fans want. Because I was also talking about this on another platform before I got up here, and they was talking about, but this fight is not a big fight and this and that. I said, dog, the biggest fight last year was a fight that did not have the belt on the line. They were like, oh well, you got to count Jake Paul. No, I don't count Jake Paul. Jake Paul ain't no professional fighter. He ain't no professional fighter. You can count Jake Paul if you want to. That's your book. That's your prerogative. I ain't got nothing to say that.
Yeah.
But when I talk about, I'm talking about actual professional fighters that we look at on ESPN, the Zone, Amazon Prime, those guys, Pro Box. When we look at those fighters, the biggest fight did not have a belt on the line. And everybody keeps saying, "Oh, you say these belts behind you don't matter." They don't matter to me. They matter to the
Yeah.
fighter. As long as the fight is put on that I want to see, that's what matters. I don't care if there's a belt on the line. Tommy Hitman Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard. It didn't matter to me that a belt was on the line. It was big because it was a belt on the line. But I didn't go home with a belt. I didn't walk out of the arena with a belt. I didn't turn my TV off, went to sleep, and woke up to 3 shiny belts beside me. No, those belts don't matter to me. It only matters to the fighter. The only thing that matters to me is seeing a hell of a fight, and I could talk about it for years down the line. No, it wasn't nothing
Yeah.
like that I saw with Tommy Hitman Hearns and Sugar Ray. It wasn't nothing like that fight I saw with Sugar Ray and Hagler. No, if I'm not talking about it years, that's why everybody said, "Oh, this is a legacy fight." It's only a legacy fight if you're talking about it years later after the fight is over. If you ain't talking about it, it ain't a legacy fight. It's just another fight that's on his resume. It's not a legacy.
Yeah.
So everybody keeps throwing around legacy fight, legacy fight. Well, if 15 years down the line we ain't talking about it, we ain't talking about Devin Haney and Tank Davis or Shakur and Devin or Tank and Shakur. If we not talking about those fights 15 years down the line, it wasn't a legacy fight. It was just another fight. Legacy
And
fights
a lot of them,
talk about years later after the fighters is retired. Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather is a legacy fight because people still bring it up.
yeah.
Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez is a legacy fight because people still talk about it. Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, a legacy fight because people still talk about it. Those are legacy fights. If you're not
And that's
talking,
what people
if you're not,
that's what
if you're
people gotta understand.
not a fight,
People have to understand that it's a difference.
people don't understand what legacy means. Legacy means what you
No,
leave.
they don't understand what it means.
It's the mark that you make and that you leave behind. So if you're not talking about it after they're gone, it wasn't a legacy. It wasn't a
Yeah.
legacy. It was a resume. It wasn't a legacy. It was something that you put on your resume. I got a lot of jobs on my resume. They ain't a career. This is a job that I got on my resume. My career is security. That's where I'm at. That's where I've been at for
Yeah.
the type time of my life. So when people say, "What are you?" I'm law enforcement. That's what I did majority of the time of my life. Spent 3 years in the military, and then I spent like 20 years doing security. That's my. That's mainly what my career is law enforcement.
Yeah. And that's what it is right there, man. But yeah, they don't understand the meaning of legacy, and I mean, they act like they do and they really don't. I just came to the conclusion that nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares about what legacy means, being a Hall of Famer. People don't care about all that. They can care less. They just, some of these fans is just as worse as the fighters that cheat. They just as worse because they don't care.
Yeah,
They don't care, and it's just sad, man.
I mean, eh, I mean, you
It's
gotta,
sad.
like I said, a lot of these people talk about, "Oh, you can't tell me about boxing. I've been watching boxing for 30 years." Okay, you can be watching boxing for 30 years. That doesn't mean you know. I mean, I know a lot of people that watch football, but they don't know about football. They just been watching.
No.
My mother watched football her entire life. She don't know about football. She know how to score a touchdown, how to score a field goal, how to score an extra point. You know, if you
And
run
that's
the
it.
ball, you get a certain amount of yards, you get a first down. But she can't break down the X's and O about football. She been watching it her entire life. My mother's 68 years old. She been watching football her entire life. She don't know about football. So
Yeah, I mean,
how long you been watching it? If you're not a student of the game or you're not a student of the sport and you ain't been studying it, you don't know nothing about it. You can be watching something, but you was watching it for the wrong reasons. You wasn't watching it to study the fighter.
and they don't want to take the time to learn that, man. Nobody wants to. I know this. I know this. I know this. I know. All right. Okay. So when you stumble across a conversation that you can't win because you didn't walk into the conversation with facts, you walked into the conversation with your feelings. So when somebody dogs you out, shouldn't be no hard feelings.
No,
You know what I mean, Debree? It shouldn't be no hard feelings. You want to walk in there and play this kind of game versus somebody who really plays this game? Okay, just be prepared for the outcome because you know everybody can. Everybody wants to give it out, but they can't take it. You know
right.
what I'm saying? So, and that's the thing that be killing me. Even with a conversation like right now, we touched on other fighters, right, that they are familiar with. But with this Tommy, how many of y'all are really familiar with him?
Not a
I
lot.
heard his. No, you hearing his name does not mean you know about him. You just heard his name. Tell me what you know about him. What you know about him? Yo, man, yeah, Tommy
Yeah,
Hearns.
a lot.
Didn't Tommy Hearns ain't he from Chicago? No, he not.
Yeah, a lot of people don't do that, Jay Gibson. They don't shut up, sit back, and just
That's
and
why
listen.
I sit back and then. Well, Jay, too many people got pride to do that. Everybody got to argue with somebody when somebody's trying to tell them something. You know, they'll say let's debate, and they're saying let's argue. Because if I could correct you on something, right? I'm not embarrassing you, and I'm not acting like I know more than you. If D3 corrects me on something, it's not for me to have a heart attack about it. Okay, I'm sorry. Either I didn't know or I made a mistake.
Yeah, it's been plenty of times I've been wrong about something, and somebody correct me. I'm like, oh my bad, I was wrong about that. I
I just called Thomas Hearns Tommy Morrison. That was by mistake. Did you see me flip out on D3? I know who I'm talking about.
I did that. I did that the other day on BBO channel. I had said something I was wrong, and I went back and looked, and I was like, "Oh shit, I stand corrected. I was wrong."
And that's all. We don't sit here and argue somebody down. And it's like, "Ooh, for what? For what?
I mean,
A lot of y'all are just attention grabbers, man. It's like, relax, baby.
see,
I
people.
get corrected every day, all day. I
Problem is,
ain't trying to fight the world.
the problem is a lot of people look at these fighters and they're fans of the fighters instead of being fan of the sport, and they don't. And that's the reason why I can say what I say about each one of these fighters because I don't hold another fighter higher than another fighter. I keep it 100 across the board, and I keep saying that, and it sounds like an old cliche, but it is what it is when it comes to me. I keep it 100 across the board. If I'm gonna say one thing about one fighter, I gotta say the same thing about another fighter that's moving the same way because ain't none of them my favorite fighter. I tell people all the time, my favorite fighters retired long ago. That was Sugar Ray and Roy Jones. Those were my two favorite fighters out of the history of boxing. The entire time boxing's been existed, those were my two favorite fighters. I don't have no pictures of Muhammad Ali hanging up in my walls or nothing like that. Never did. But I knew, and Sugar Ray was my favorite fighter because I knew him personally. My father and my mother went to school with him.
Yeah.
Roy Jones, Roy Jones was my favorite fighter because of his style of fighting. I never seen nobody fight the way he did, and so
Yeah.
those are my favorite fighters. But since they retire, I don't have no favorite fighter. I can hold each one of these fighters in an equal light because I don't have no favorite fighter. If Tank Davis go out here and start being on Twitter talking crazy like Shakur is, I'm gonna say the same thing about Tank that I said about Shakur. Get your ass off the goddamn Twitter, sit back and get ready for your fight. Or why are you mad? You just won your goddamn fight. He said Tommy had like 60 fights or wins. Yeah, he had like 60 something fights.
Tommy. I'm telling you right now, I don't want to call him the boogeyman of the division if he was around today, because if one or two people call your name, then you're not the boogeyman because somebody's looking to fight you. But I have a strong feeling that even if Boots wanted that, he wouldn't want it now. Not
So
at 47. He wouldn't want it.
he wouldn't be the boogeyman, but he might be one of the most avoided fighters. He might be one of
Yeah,
the
because you think about it, right? So you take a Devin Haney, right? You take a Ryan Garcia. I hate to say his name. You take a Tiafimo, right? Um, and you take a Josh Taylor. Let's just say these guys. Well, I'm going to 47. You ain't going up against no Tommy.
first of all, I don't think none of them have the ring IQ to get in the ring with Tommy.
Yeah, and this is not me being biased because y'all be like, I thought that was your man. No, I don't have no fighter. I just named y'all people who. And the reason why I named these particular dudes because these particular dudes, not just because they said it, but eventually they can't make the weight that they're trying to make. So if they ever was to go that path, Tommy's not something that they want to run into.
Look, I don't. I mean, I'm gonna say something that a lot of people gonna say. Nah, you tripping. I think if Tommy was around right now at 47, I don't think Devin Haney go in the ring and fight him if he move up to 47. I don't think Devin Haney get in the ring with Tommy.
I don't think his. I don't think, and I want to be sure when I say this, because I can't speak for him. I don't think Bill lets that happen.
It's a high risk, low reward for them. Well,
Yeah, I mean,
actually, I want to say low reward because Tommy might be a champion at that time, but it's definitely a high risk. It's definitely a high risk.
I don't see too many people taking that risk. I see everybody dancing around him, trying to act like they want to fight each other. But when it come to him, nah,
No,
nah, nah. Nobody. I mean, who? Who? A Conor Ben? He'll kill him.
Conor
He
Ben.
destroys him.
Ever since Conor Ben been off them eggs, he ain't got the power that he had before. Them
Like
eggs.
y'all can't get anybody, man. I mean, y'all can go out there and pick your best ones from 47 to 54, but I'm telling you, it ain't gonna go the way y'all think it's gonna go.
Not,
And I like a lot of the guys from 47 to 54, but I ain't finna sit here and be biased about it. That's a tough task.
that's
Tommy
like
Hearns, that's a tough task.
it's a Tommy is from a different era. That's like saying that you pick the best running back in the league. They ain't no fucking Barry Sanders. They
No,
ain't Barry Sanders. They ain't Jim Brown. They ain't OJ. God rest his soul. They ain't OJ.
yes,
They ain't them dudes. Them dudes are from a different era. It was a different type of running style. They was run heavy.
yeah, yeah,
So
they were absolutely, and
it
it's that's why it's different eras, man. It's different eras to show you that it's different. It's levels to this. And with Tommy, it's levels to it. And I'm not taking nothing from all the rest of the fighters that I named, but let's just keep it real. It's levels to this.
no. I
You know what I'm
mean,
saying? You talk about being punch drunk. I can't see T.O. getting hit by no damn Tommy.
like I said, when we speak about these fighters, sometimes I mean, even, it doesn't matter what fighter you're speaking about. It's best for you to go do your research on a fighter. Look at some of the old fights that they had. Not nothing recent because recent is going to be fresh in most people's mind. Look at some of the
Yeah,
old fights, how they came up. What was a tough fight for them? What was an easy fight for them? That way, when it's time to analyze a fighter versus another fighter, you'll say, okay, well, this style gave him problems. This style was easy. That way, you'll understand why I say I believe this fighter beats that fighter because I know what style is easy for him to fight against. I know what style is tough for him to fight against. That's how I analyze these fighters. I see what fight gave them a tough time, and it's usually multiple fights of that same style gives him a tough time, and it's usually fights of a certain style, another style, he has easier times with more times than not. So it's
yeah,
not it's not so much, oh, I just like this fighter over that fight. No, I'm looking at the style of fighter that this fighter has and the style of fighter that this fighter has, and which one of those styles they have problems against. This guy usually has problems against the style that he fights. He usually
Hmm.
don't have no problems against that style.
Yeah.
But it's
Um.
still they still got to get in the ring and happen because I could be 100% wrong because it might be this one time where he does have a problem against because styles don't make fights. It's who can impose their style. So if that guy is mentally stronger than the other guy and he can impose his style on him, doesn't matter if he has an easy time against that style or not. He's mentally stronger. He's imposing his style on the other guy.
Yeah. And you, of course, that's the great thing about the sport of boxing. But you just got a lot of these cats that's not going to take the time to learn. They're just not. And they think that it's cool, and they think that it's acceptable, and it's not acceptable. And those are the ones that I don't want to hold a conversation with because you know nothing. Because here it is, I'm still trying to learn some things about boxing as far as the business side. And here it is, you idiots that could be learning the same thing that I'm trying to learn. You're not doing it. You're not doing it. You're making yourself look crazy by not doing it. Spence, Bud, or Boots. What you mean for Tommy to fight? Uh, I'll let D Free go on that one. If he's on the phone. All right, I'll go. I'll say Boots. I don't know how to look in there with and Bud is strong, but yeah, Bud is strong, but I don't know. I'll say Boots. Yeah, I'll say Boots. It would be interesting to see it though. If that kind of stuff, that kind of fight was to happen and he was in his prime, oh yeah, that'd be dope to see. Get them likes up, y'all.
Oh boy, boy, boy.
Nah, it's all good.
I hate when people call me and try to explain something but don't know how to explain it. I'm like, what? I'm trying to. What are you trying to do? Tell me what you trying to do. This. What happened? Well, when I tried to do this, I was doing. I don't need to know all of the stuff that you were doing. I need to know what happened when you tried to do this. What did you see?
He's a yeah. Well,
I,
some people be so nervous to get it out. It's like, would you just tell me?
I'm like, you calling me? It's after business hours. You calling me 9:33? Tell me what you're trying to do. Matter of fact, hold on one second.
Go ahead, because I gotta give me some water. I'll be back, y'all. We'll be back. Hold on.
Yeah, that shit. That just irritates me. You say you think Boots giving Tommy problem? I think he would give Tommy problem because of his boxing style. The question that I have with Boots is he
Uh,
is he able to take a punch? Is he able to take a punch? Because I think at some point Tommy will Tommy will land a good shot. I just don't know if Boots can take a punch or not because Boots he knows how to roll with his punches and he only went the distance twice in his career. He went the distance twice in his career, and neither one of those guys, in my opinion, neither one of those guys that he went the distance. No, I'm not even gonna say in my opinion. I know neither one of those guys were of the level of a Tommy Hitman Hearns. Neither one of them was of the level of Tommy Hitman Hearns. So I don't know if in the later rounds will Boots be able to avoid Tommy's shot. Now, like I said, Boots is a hell of a fighter. He reminds me a lot of Roy Jones, and everybody like you tripping. I'm just saying, I'm just going by what I see. I watched everything that Roy Jones did because I was a huge Roy Jones fan, and Boots remind me a lot of Roy Jones. He's about the closest that I've seen to a Roy Jones, and Boots is good with reflexes, and he's good with making you making you throw a shot and miss, and he comes right back with a shot before you could bring your guard back. And so
Yeah,
I think he will give Tom. He would have given Tommy problems. It's just I don't know if what Tommy giving him would Boots be able to handle it. I don't know because Boots hasn't fought that level of a fighter yet. The fighters that he's fought are nowhere near Tommy Hitman Hearns level. So I don't know how he measure up to those upper level guys. That's why I want to see him in there with Bud. I want to see him in there with Spence. Uh, um, Tim Zoo, I think, is on the same level as Boots. Um, Virgil is on the same level as Boots, as far as level of competition that they fought and where they at in their career. Neither one of them are that much better than the other one, as far as experience wise. But that's why
yeah,
I want to see Boots in there with those guys because I've never seen them in there with what we call quote unquote the top level fighters. And so I believe that he would do well against those guys. But it remains to be seen because he hasn't got the opportunity to get in there with those guys.
yeah. Um, it sure would have been a hell of a showdown, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, it would have been a hell of a showdown. Maybe I don't know if they put Boots in that video game. Maybe they did or they didn't. But if they did, we got to go get Tommy Morrison, and we'll find out then. I mean, Tommy Hearns. I keep saying Morrison. See, we got to come back next week and do it. I want to talk about Tommy Morrison so bad. That's the second time I threw his name out there. We're going to definitely come back next Thursday and talk about Tommy Morrison, which I would like to see if they had Tommy Morrison in the video game. I will hope to see if this video game they got Tommy Morrison in it. It would be nice to see if they had all these guys like a Tim Witherspoon, all these guys in this new game. I would like to see that if they had that. Kevin
Well,
Kelly, a lot of these guys.
well, we will see soon enough because it'll be out October 11th, and I will be getting it as soon as it.
Yo, I ain't gonna hold you though. Them stores is gonna look real disrespectful.
Those what?
The stores.
That's why I don't go to the stores to get my games. I download my games. I don't. I haven't bought a game since Madden and NBA 2K22. Oh, I'm sorry, 21. Madden and NBA 2K21. That was like 2 years ago. That's the last time I bought a game. Every game I get now, I download. I haven't bought a game in 2 years. I download everything. If you go right now and look at my room and look at my PS5, you don't see no games in there, but I got like 4 or 5 games downloaded to my PS5.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll be doing the same thing because I ain't going to wait in nobody line.
Yeah, I mean that's the best way to do it because like I got tired of my games getting scratched and I had to go get a scratch doctor and all this other stuff
Yeah,
and I ended up having to buy a new game because yeah, the scratch doctor worked for the first couple of days and then all of a sudden it'll start it'll start jumping and then it'll be reading and it doesn't read anything. I'm like, man, I'm tired of this. I end up going to buy a new game anyway. So once
yeah,
I can download my games to my PlayStation, that's what I started doing. I downloaded every game since I had a PS4. I've been downloading games. I don't go buy games no more at all. Like my kids, they got games that they bought or whatever, and it's sitting right there. But I don't I haven't even used this part of my PS5 because they got the whole little disc. I haven't even used because I don't buy movies. I watch movies on Netflix and stuff like that. So I don't buy CDs or DVDs anything like that. I
yeah.
download.
That's a lot of that's a lot of work, and nobody wants to do all that. But yeah, so next week we come back. Tommy Morrison. I'm probably going to set that live up already. Instead of me waiting, I'd rather have it out the way because then I'd have been forgot. So yeah, set it up. We can have it. Our sister Quee will be going on shortly.
Yep. And
Um,
a roast session.
yeah, so let's give ourselves a couple of minutes so we can go over there and get prepared for that for the roast session, which I'll be sitting in the back. I'm not participating. Y'all not about to mess with me today. I'm not with it. Nah, we gonna be over there. We gonna get it popping. I ain't gonna wait till 10:05 to get off. That's just too much, and Queer be on anyway. So we gonna end this. Brother Free, I appreciate you coming up as always, and I'll see you on the other side.
That's about
All right, later, bro.
later.